Welcome CSC200 class for spring 2021, and it's database management concepts. And I just want to introduce myself in person because you'll be hearing my voice in our videos that we watch on YouTube throughout the semester. Some of them will be from last spring, some of them will be new, but I just wanted to let you know that since we're online, we'll be using an online IDE. We'll actually be using two of them. We'll be using Python Anywhere in the beginning, which will actually allow us to create MySQL databases and use SQL language to display them in a terminal. And then later on in the semester, we'll be using something called GORM, which is an online IDE, which will also enable us to use PHP language and build web pages, which will actually display our results of our databases. So there's a lot of fun things we'll be able to do here. It's primarily web-based databases that we'll be working with, and we'll be using our Cengage book. We will not be using the Mind tab because I have all the exercises built already, but we'll be using some of the data from that book as well as the concepts that we'll be discussing in our discussion forums and things like that. So I just wanted to welcome you to the class. Coming up, you're going to see a little intro of MyWarren just to guide you around a little bit, just so you know where to find things, since it's changed a little bit since last fall. So welcome to CSC200. If you need anything, if you need any extra help, I can meet with you with GoToMeeting. I could use Zoom, whatever you need. I'm always around, so that's not a problem. So just don't fall behind and let me know if you have any problems, and we look forward to the semester. So here I am in front of MyWarren, and hopefully they'll fix this logo thing up here. But I'm sure you know how to log in. Many of you have been in my classes before, not just having this class, but in other classes. So I'm sure you know how to log into MyWarren, but they have information on this page if you need to. But once you log in and you come down to your courses, this is CSC200. So I'm going to go down here. And one thing to point out, I do teach a bunch of classes. So when you email me about something, you may be in more than one class, and I teach different sections of classes. So always include your course number and your section. That way I can look things up a lot faster than if you just say, hey, can you open this up? Because I won't know which class you're in unless I look at rosters and things like that. So we're in CSC200 W1, and I'm just going to leave it in faculty mode right now just to go through this, since I don't think you need a lot of this to go through. But on the announcements page before the semester starts, I have three things on here. Finding your way through e-learning, which you probably don't even have to look at because I'm doing that right now. Technology needs, which is on here, which if you need a computer, if you need internet, if there's something you need technology-wise, check it out through the school. There's a link here, I guess through financial aid, that you go to find more about the CARES Act. So if there's something you need technology-wise, go check it out. There may be money available for you to do that. And also this welcome announcement that I have here, I'm not going to read through it, but I have a bunch of stuff in here. So please hit the more button and read this stuff. I don't put this here just because I feel like putting it, or even because I have to. But there's a lot of information here, and so we don't have a class where we actually walk into class and go over all this stuff. I do it here, so make sure you read all this stuff. It's all important kind of stuff. I have a link to our playlist in here, which basically is the Spring 2020 playlist, and there'll just be updates to that as we go along, because I used new software last spring, and it was the first time I used Python Anywhere and GORM IDE for the class, so I'll be able to reuse a lot of that stuff, and hopefully we can move faster, because it's hard sometimes doing all the recording during the semester, so we'll be able to move a little bit faster. But please take the time to read through the announcement to find out everything you need to do for week 1. Remember, the semester starts February 1st and it ends May 20th. And I think there's 15 people on the roster so far, and there's probably going to be 11 that finish up, because there's always 4 that disappear. And I'm telling you that now. I don't know why, but there's 4 people out of 15 that'll just stop doing things in March sometime. That always happens. I don't know why, so just remember that. Don't let that be you. Just make sure you keep up with things. All right, so I'll just go over this quickly. These are the announcements. Not a whole lot to do here, but make sure you read them. Under course information, I'm not even sure everything that's here. It's a little bit different. This description, I think, is kind of old because it uses terms like microcomputer, which we don't really use anymore. But I'm also going to post office hours on here because I have to put a certain amount of office hours during the week. But keep in mind, I can do a GoToMeeting or Zoom with you anytime, and that's what I've done in the past. In the fall, I've met with people whenever they have time available. So you don't have to stick with that, but I will put some hours on here. So if you do need to meet with me, you could do it through those hours, or you could do it some other time. That's fine. I'm always around. I'm not going a lot of places, so that's what's in here. The syllabus section, it has the syllabus, and it has our e-textbook information. We do have a database textbook from Cengage, and again, I'm encouraged to use a textbook from Cengage because that's part of the promotion with the school is Cengage Unlimited. We don't need to use it a whole lot, but we will use it for reading. We won't use it for mind tap activities or anything like that. So this is where the course key is, and you could go through and do that. We may not use it the first week because sometimes it takes some time just to get set up and doing that, but let me know if you need any help with that. But we will use that because I'm not a database expert, and what I mean is I'm familiar with databases from the web-based side of it, but it's not like I've worked in a business where I've built relational databases as a living. That's not my background. I haven't done that. So there's things we could learn out of the book that'll help us with some of that stuff, but I'll help you through all the other web-based kind of stuff that we end up doing. And then there's also a syllabi addendum here, which basically is the information that's not covered because of COVID restrictions. So anything that's not in here, any changes because of the COVID restrictions are in this addendum if you want to check that stuff out. We'll move on to discussion board. Now that counts as attendance, so make sure you do them. Sometimes people just ignore it. Don't ignore it, just do them. You get 10 points each time you do something, and I don't really make a big deal about how long your response is. You don't have to reply to other people, so make sure that you do that and you get 10 points. And 10 points over a semester for 15 weeks, that's like 150 points. So that's like a couple exams, so do it. It's not a big deal to do it, plus it helps me find out more about you since we're not actually in class. So I get a lot of background, I get feedback as we go on through the semester. And you're going to do a student introduction. I have my introduction in here, so you'll be able to check that out in the beginning. So I put that in there. I put a new picture in there. This changed a little bit, so I'll just show you something here. When you do your student introduction in here, I'll go back. You're going to go in here to student introductions. Now this will look a little bit different, but you'll have a description on what you're supposed to put in there, and then you'll basically put add post. And when you put a post in here, you could just put your name. And then when you put your description down here, you don't have to put your name again. Just put your name. And when you need to put in a picture, it changed just a little bit. Whenever you need to put in a picture, either in here or in your comments section for the coursework, you could go in here and add a picture. So if you click on there, they have this insert image, and this little icon changed. It used to be like a folder with a magnifying glass. Now it's this thing. So now when you click on that, that basically means to go look for your source. So if you need to upload something and go find some pic, there's some pic I found. These are just still shots from the video that I did. There's me kind of smiling. So if you put in a picture like that, you could put that in there. And I'll just overwrite this because there's one already in this Moxie Manager. You may not even see this Moxie Manager. I don't really use it because I'm always changing things, so it really serves no purpose. But anyway, once you put it in there, you could change the width of something here, and it is locked. So if I knew it was only going to be like 150 pixels wide, I could put that in there and do save, and then it'll be smaller, but then I can resize it here. So that's part of that. Remember, that means uploading a file is this. This is inserting an image, and you could always like kind of highlight it, almost like text, highlight it, and then you'll get the corners on here that you could scale it. But I'm going to cancel out of this, but that's where you're going to put your student introduction. And keep in mind, you don't have to put a photo. You don't have to put a pic in there. It's nice to put it in so we get to know people a little bit. Some of you I've had in class already. You don't have to put a pic in there if you feel weird about putting it, or put a pic of something else. Put your dog or your cat or something, or whatever it is, your car, something that you feel personal about if you don't want to put a picture of yourself. But it is nice to get to know people by seeing who they are. So that's your discussion board. We will be using that throughout the semester. Documents and resources, we'll be using this a lot. It's divided up in two sections. There's the handouts where you'll have your notes for assignments. Now, if I go here to handouts, you'll see that there's this first section here for Unit 1, and this is the stuff I just have to put in there, and for some reason, it didn't let me make another section because it went in between 1 and 2, so I just put this stuff in Unit 1. But it's the e-learning screenshot, the netiquette statement, and the finding your way through e-learning. You may or may not want to check this stuff out. It's just stuff that I have to put here. But under Unit 2, you'll start to see things like this, where this is where I'll put notes in here. Now, these aren't even the new notes yet. These still have to be updated. These are what the notes are going to look like. They'll be in PDF format. This is one of the first assignments that we'll do, although I have to update this because it still has the stuff from spring 2020. But we'll be using a lot of these from last spring because it was the first time we used Python Anywhere. So that'll help move things, like I said, a little bit quicker. But that's where you'll get a lot of notes in this section in the handouts. Anything that you would need to print out or look at will be in here, and I'll break it up by unit. So for each unit, you'll have notes in your assignment and anything else that you have to look at. Also in here is bookmarks, and I'll just point out bookmarks. That's things like websites and videos. I have the playlist in here. If I click on the playlist, you'll see it's actually the playlist from spring 2020 There'll be a playlist here for 2021. Now, this is all the stuff from spring 2020, so we'll use some of this and some of this will be updated, but we're going to try to use as much as we can because it was the first time I used Python Anywhere in GORM, so a lot of these videos we could use again because I went through the process of recording them all new last spring, so we could use a lot of them. Some of them I'll update. There'll be some new videos that'll be added here, especially when I find some changes or we add some new exercises, but that'll be our playlist for the semester in here on YouTube. Also, there'll be some other videos that I'll have you look at. They don't all have to be my videos. There's a lot of great educational videos out there that you could learn a lot of things, that you can learn more than you'll learn from just me. Down here, web resources, there's W3 Schools, which I use these in a lot of classes. It's a great resource to go find things real quick. There's mysqltutorial.org. I'll just click on that. This is a really great MySQL site to find anything that you can't find in the W3 Schools one. So this is a great site. And then also here's a link to Python Anywhere and GORM IDE. Python Anywhere is an IDE. We used it in Python in the beginning, and what I like about it, it's really easy to share files. Once you create your account, you can nominate me as your teacher, and I'll be able to go into your account anytime and look at all your files. So you don't have to be like uploading files or anything like that. You just have to give me a note. Once I know what your username is, I can go and see your username and find all your files. And you can make files and organize files and make folders in there, and it's all free. The only thing you can't do is kind of display things on a web page. So we'll be able to make MySQL databases in here and basically display them in the terminal. So it's not real exciting, but it's a good place to learn in the beginning. And then also there's this GORM IDE, which I used for the first time. I almost wasn't going to use it. I was going to use something called AMPS, which we would have had to download and install locally on a computer, but I was able to work through this, and I kind of went through all the growing pains, and I was communicating with their support department for little bugs and things like that, but they fixed a lot of things, and I learned my way around. So a lot of that stuff that I learned last spring will make things faster this spring. So this is a pretty cool IDE. We used to use Cloud9 in the past, and then Amazon Web Services took it over and made it very difficult for students to get in there. I have to get everything okayed, and I have to supply emails. This is a lot easier. I like this a lot better. It's not perfect, but it's free, and we can do a lot of things, and it's very powerful. So we'll be doing our PHP pages and displaying our database info on websites. You can even do WordPress installs and manage WordPress databases, because WordPress is basically run by MySQL databases. So this is a really cool site. So I went through the growing pains of learning all about it last spring, so we'll be able to do a lot more this spring. And also they're putting in a new dashboard. I got an email that they're updating their dashboard February 1st, so I'll wait to go over some of this once they do that. So I'm looking forward to that. I like this. It's a Korean-based company. It's a really nice IDE to work with, and their support team has been really responsive whenever I had a problem, so that's great. So anyway, that's some of the software that we're going to be using, and the nice thing about all that, it's all web-based. So you don't have to install anything. It's actually very hard to do databases on the web, but we can do them with those two pieces of web-based software. So that's a really nice thing for us to do a class like this and not have to worry about downloading database files and uploading them. It'll just make things a lot easier for us in sharing files. All right. So that's about it for documents and resources. Roster, attendance, you don't have to worry about attendance, just do your discussion boards. Course calendar I don't use. Coursework is where your assignment's going to be. I'll just show you this really quick. Now these are still closed. They're not open yet, but I have them here because they're closed. When they're in italic, they're closed. I didn't open them up with the little open button. But for the first week, you're going to be doing a student survey where I just get some information about your prior experience. So it's like 10 questions, so you'll get 100% for doing that. You'll also do your student intro. Again, you don't have to put a pick on there. And there'll be some database intro videos, not mine, that you'll watch, and you'll take a quiz on them. And then there'll also be some reading. I'll try to do reading the first week if I can, if everybody's okay getting into their Cengage book, or I'll let you watch some other videos that'll help you learn some things from this. So that's what we'll be doing our first week in getting set up. And then for our second week, we'll set up our accounts in Python Anywhere. I know some of you may already have Python Anywhere accounts. If you had the Programming 1 class in the past, we used Python Anywhere in the beginning. So if you already have an account, you could use the same account. You'll just create a folder for your database stuff. So we'll be doing that in week 2, February 8th. And then I think that's about it. You know how to check out your gradebook. Just remember, if nothing's graded yet, it doesn't go against you. So if you haven't done anything all semester and I haven't closed it out, it may still say you have an A or something. So don't just assume you have an A even though you haven't done anything. It just means you haven't got a 0 yet. or I haven't updated the grades on it. But make sure you keep up with things. Don't disappear in March or April like some people do. Some people just disappear at the end of the semester for some reason. I have people they don't do the final. I guess they just had enough by the end. But don't do that. Finish up strong. Looking forward to having a nice semester since I've already had a semester of working with this software last spring. So I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more and moving a little further this spring with CSC200. So if you have any questions, email me, and there'll be lots of videos to get you started. So I'm looking forward to getting the semester started.